An historic day for the country's top tertiary level institution. The Free National Movement calls for the resignation of a cabinet minister, and the government denies a forestry contract. We've got those stories and others. I'm your host, Krishna Virgil, and this is the Tribune's Top 5. This week, we said goodbye to the College of the Bahamas and officially welcomed the University of the Bahamas. During an historic ceremony on Thursday, full of pomp and pageantry, the country celebrated a milestone as the University of the Bahamas was chartered at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium. Men, women, and children of all ages were dressed in blue to mark the historic occasion. Lecturers beamed, emphasizing that the moment was overdue. Leading officials expressed pride and relief and spoke of the expansion and growth that will define the institution's future. Students also cheered the milestone, celebrating the fact that their college experience will coincide with what is expected to be a robust period of expansion. During his address, Prime Minister Perry Christie said, quote, "This day has been long in coming. It has been in incubation for many a long year, but it has last arrived." Mr. Christie said the country will look to UB to play an important role in national affairs. He continued, "Students must have the proper facilities to work in, and this should include a modern state-of-the-art performing arts theater, a musical conservatory, and ample studio space. The nation will increasingly be looking to the University of the Bahamas to provide the public with a robust and active arts calendar. There is growing appetite for more musical concerts, dance performances, plays, poetry recitals, book readings, and art shows to meet our need for these finer pleasures. The civilizing effect that such experiences can have on the nation should not be underestimated." End quote. Two veteran Progressive Liberal Party members on Wednesday told the Tribune that the unexpected result of the United States' presidential election could signal a defeat at the polls for the governing party, with one insisting that the party use this as a wake-up call as it prepares to campaign for the impending election. Reacting to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's victory over Democratic Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller said he had hoped Mrs. Clinton would have won, which he said would have boosted the PLP's confidence heading into the 2017 general election. Meanwhile, former PLP MP Philip Galanis said the party needed to wake up as some of its members have become too arrogant. Both admitted that Bahamians were dissatisfied with the Christie administration and wanted change. Mr. Galanis said, quote, "This should be a wake-up call for the PLP, absolutely, unquestionably. We've become too arrogant. Some of our members have become too arrogant. They are in denial. There are a lot of people on the streets, in offices, in their homes, who are dissatisfied and they feel disconnected from the MPs. And this most recent fiasco with Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister Alfred Gray and the possibility or even consideration of giving fishing rights or allowing foreigners to be engaged in the fishing industry, that's a no-no. Clearly not a PLP philosophy. The PLP better wake up, because if it doesn't, it's going to find itself in exactly the same position as the Democrats." End quote. For his part, Mr. Miller said while he thinks a Republican U.S. government has historically done well for the Bahamas' economy, it might not bode well for the PLP's chances of re-election. He said there is a general feeling throughout the country that Bahamians want change. Environment Minister Ken Dorset maintained in the House of Assembly on Monday that there has been no forestry agreements issued under the Christie administration. His denial came amid heightened public concern over the Christie administration's dealings with the Chinese. However, he was adamant that neither his ministry nor the government has issued a license to any company to harvest trees in Andros. Mr. Dorset admitted that a proposal of this kind submitted in 2015 was approved in principle by the government's forestry unit. However, he maintained that to date, all the conditions imposed by the forestry unit were not satisfied. Therefore, no license was issued. Speaking in the House of Assembly on Monday, the minister said the only deal of this kind that exists in the Bahamas was struck in 2011 on a 5-year basis under the previous Ingram administration to a Canadian citizen. Any assertions that state otherwise, Mr. Dorset said, is an attempt to demonize a potential investment by insinuating that it is a secret deal with the Chinese by the government. He was responding to a report in the Nassau Guardian that a company with majority Chinese directors was given National Economic Council approval for a forestry project on 4,500 acres of Crown land in North Andros. This report said the NEC agreed to issue a company called Caribbean Global Timber Limited a 5-year renewable timber harvesting license for the selective thinning and resin extraction on Crown land forest in Andros. However, the minister refuted some of the article's claims. The principals of the company, he insisted, include Bahamian citizens and American citizens who have sought additional assistance from a Chinese industrial and commercial investment company. Senior Free National Movement members on Tuesday insisted that they were not concerned or moved by Prime Minister Perry Christie's threat to reveal documents detailing the previous FNM administration's efforts to partner with the Chinese for agriculture and fisheries developments, saying this was a mere deflection away from the failures of the Progressive Liberal Party government. FNM Deputy Leader Peter Turnquest and Long Island MP Loretta Butler-Turner said the troubling concern for many Bahamians is the Christie administration's affinity for conducting business in secret. While both MPs acknowledged that Chinese investors were engaged in major projects during the FNM's previous term in office, including Bahamar and Hutchinson Whampoa for the revival of the Grand Bahama economy in 1992 and 1993, they maintain that these dealings were done in a transparent manner. This, Mr. Turnquest said, was a major difference between the current PLP administration and the then Ingram-led government. Mr. Turnquest said when asked whether there was any concern over Mr. Christie's threat to table the documents in the House of Assembly, revealing the FNM's efforts to partner with the Chinese in the House of Assembly, he said not at all. He continued, they are trying to divert attention from their abysmal leadership to date. Digging up all this information from the past is a diversion. Most Bahamians recognize what they are trying to do. He continued, they are depending on a foreign government to bail them out of the dismal failure and ceding control of large amounts of land and economic activity reserved for Bahamians. I think the thing the government misses is this has nothing to do with xenophobia or disliking investments with the Chinese. What we have concerns about is the amount of investment of a state-owned nature or influence by the Chinese state, end quote. Agriculture and Marine Resources Minister V. Alfred Gray must resign, and he must do it now. This coming from Opposition Leader Dr. Hubert Minnis. Free National Movement Leader Dr. Hubert Minnis on Sunday called on Bahamians to mobilize against the $2.1 billion agricultural and fisheries proposal with the Chinese investors for Andros, and said he believed it would bring the country one step closer to being colonized once again. The Free National Movement leader also called for the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, V. Alfred Gray, to resign from his cabinet post. Additionally, Dr. Minnis put the government of China on notice that if elected, his party would review and reverse any secret deal that gives land or fishing rights to foreigners. He said that the Bahamian people were hoodwinked by the government into believing that the Bahamas Agriculture and Marine Science Institute would provide opportunity for local entrepreneurs to create a direct-to-market supply line that would stimulate the economy and benefit Bahamians, leading to the further development of the agricultural sector of our economy and ultimately greater food security. He stressed, quote, "But if this under-the-table deal is allowed to stand, only the Chinese will benefit. We must not under any circumstances allow these negotiations to go on," end quote. His comments came during a press conference at the FNM's Mackey Street headquarters before a crowd of party supporters. Dr. Minnis said he and his opposition team are unified and opposed to this giveaway. Want to get in on the discussion? Well, here's how you can. Just log on to our website at www.tribune242.com. Like us on Facebook, the Tribune News Network. Send us a tweet at Tribune242 or subscribe to our YouTube page, Tribune242.